Advance Tax Part 2. Income Tax Act 1961. Lesson 20. Advance payment of tax continued. It is continued from last video. Good morning everybody. I am Mr. T.P. Agrawal, retired income tax officer, speaking from Agrawal Income Tax Tuition Classes, Akola. In lesson 19, we have seen what is advance payment of tax and the conditions and requirements for making the compliances of the provisions of sections 207, 208, 209, 210 and section 211. We have already seen that there are advance tax sections from 207 to 219. This section 218 is in respect of assessee who is deemed to be in default, and the section 219 is in respect of credit for advance tax. Further, we have also seen that when the assessee makes any default in the compliance with the provisions of advance tax, then that person is liable to pay interest under section 234B and section 234C of the Act. And if the advance tax paid exceeds the demand due on regular assessment, then the assessee is eligible to receive interest from government under section 244 of the Act. We will discuss the provisions of these sections in detail hereunder for better understanding of the chapter Advance Payment of Tax, along with the provisions of section 218 and 219 of the Act. We have studied that as per the provisions of section 207, the assessee is required to make the payment of advance tax in advance during the financial year itself on the basis of total income, which will be estimated by him and is known as current income. As per section 208, the tax liability to pay advance tax arises only if the tax payable after considering the taxes already deducted at source or collected at source is more than rupees 10,000. Here we will discuss the provisions of section 209 and section 210 of the Act, which narrate the procedure for computation of advance tax and variation in the computation of current income. That means, what is the basis of the income on which the tax is to be calculated and rate at which such tax payable is to be calculated. In view of the provisions of section 209, the person or the assessee has to compute his income himself and calculate the tax payable on such income at the rates in force in the financial year. This has been discussed in the previous lesson. How he has to estimate the current income, that also we have discussed. The assessing officer can also issue notice to the assessee for payment of advance tax. This also we have seen. For this, the assessing officer has also to compute the income of the assessee on the basis of the income of latest previous year in respect of which the assessee has been assessed, or if any return is filed by the assessee for any subsequent year, then the higher of the two shall be taken into account and income tax shall be calculated on that income at the rates in force in that financial year. There is no big difference in section 209 and 210. Section 209 states which income is taken as current income, and section 210 states when the income can be changed or varied. The income can be varied by the assessee, the income can be varied by the income tax officer also for payment of advance tax. We have seen that the assessee has to compute his current income himself and calculate the tax payable on it and pay the advance tax accordingly. The basis of computation of his current income is his own estimation of income, which will be earned during the financial year, or if the assessee is previously assessed to tax, then he can take the assessed income into consideration as a base for the purpose of estimating as to what will be his estimated income during the financial year. Now, A question may arise as to whether if the assessee has estimated his income and paid the first installment of advance tax accordingly, then is he bound to pay the remaining installments once estimated by him during the financial year, or can he revise the estimate of his total income if he considers some variation in the income? The answer will be that as the assessee has estimated his current income at the beginning of the first installment himself, then he is at liberty to again re-estimate his income if he sees any variation in the income. The assessee may increase or reduce the amount of advance tax payable in the remaining installment or installments according to his estimate of current income and make the payment of the said amount in the remaining installment or installments accordingly. This is in the case of assessee who is liable to pay advance tax under section 208 when whether he is a new assessee or old assessee, means whether he has been previously assessed by way of regular assessment or not. He has to pay advance tax as per section 209 on or before the due date specified in section 211 in the appropriate percentage specified in that section. We have seen that the assessing officer can issue notice for payment of advance tax to the assessee. This is according to the provisions of subsection 3 of section 210 and is in respect of old assessees, means those who have already been assessed by the officer, by the AO in the income tax office. That means in respect of the assessee who has already been assessed by way of regular assessment in respect of the total income of any previous year. In such a case, if the assessing officer is of the opinion that such person is liable to pay advance tax, then he may require such person by order in writing to pay advance tax calculated in the manner laid down in section 209 by issue of notice of demand under section 156 specifying the installment or installments in which the tax is to be paid. However, such notice should not be issued later than last day of February of the financial year, because the assessee has to be given certain time of 15 days at least. Further, if the assessing officer considers it necessary to amend the order and revise the demand of the advance tax on the basis of change in the total income for latest assessment after the issue of the previous notice, then he can do so at any time but before the 1st March of the financial year, and require the assessee to make the payment of advance tax on the due date falling after the date of amended order, because the date of advance tax payment is 15th March. In the same way, if a person who is served with an order of the assessing officer under subsection 3 or amended order under subsection 4 of section 210 as above considers his estimation that the advance tax payable on his current income would be less or more than the amount demanded in the notice, then he may pay the advance tax according to his estimation or on or before the due date specified in section 211. If, however, the advance tax paid by the assessee as calculated above is less than 90% of the assessed tax, the assessee shall be liable to pay simple interest under section 234B at the rate of 1% for every month or a part of the month for the period from 1st April next to the following financial year to the date of determination of total income under subsection 1 of section 143 or under regular assessment under section 143.3 or 144 on the amount which falls short of the assessed tax. In the same manner, if the advance tax is not paid at the specified percentage by due dates, simple interest at 1% will be chargeable under section 234C on the shortfall for each month for 3 months on the amount which falls short of the tax payable. This will be treated as deferred payment of advance tax because the amount of installment is deferred from the amount required to be paid in the installment or installment, and as such the interest on the difference in the amount chargeable is payable. However, there is one escape, that if the shortfall in the first and second installment is not less than 12% or 36%, as the case may be, of the tax due on return income, then the assessee shall not be liable to pay interest on the shortfall on those dates. Means in the first two installment, if the assessee fails to pay the percentage prescribed and at least pays 12%, more than 12% or 36%, then he is not liable to pay the interest. This is because the estimation of assessee can be ignored to that extent. Since the assessee is required to pay simple interest at 12% in both the cases of non-payment or short payment or deferred payment of advance tax, he is entitled to receive interest if he pays more than the tax due on regular assessment or under section 143(1), as the case may be. He is eligible for interest. Therefore, interest under section 244A of the Act is payable to the assessee on the excess amount refundable to him out of the advance tax paid by him, if it is more than the tax determined on processing of the return or regular assessment. But this interest is given at half rate than charged from the assessee, that is at the rate of 1.5%. At the rate of 1.5% per month from 1st April of the assessment year to the date of grant of refund. There is also one condition for allowing the interest on refund. The amount of refund should be more than 10% of the assessed tax, otherwise the interest will not be allowable. The interest on refund is given by the department at 1.5% and charged at 1%. In this respect, it may be mentioned here that it is better and apt to collect the taxes in advance. This benefits both the assessees and also the government collecting the taxes. But in my opinion, there should be some incentive to the assessee, as a result of which they will come forward to deposit the amount of tax in advance. The interest charge on default of the assessee is at 12%, that is 1% per month, whereas the interest allowed to them on excess payment of advance tax is only 6%, that is 6% per annum, that is 1.5% per month. And the amount of interest received is also taxable under the head income from other sources. Moreover, the interest received is also taxable. If the rate of interest on refund is also raised to 12% in the case of excess payment, then the assessee will be paying advance tax happily. There will be a good collection of advance tax in the hands of the revenue collector, and the possibility of the demand going in arrears and remaining unpaid will be less. In the current situations, the assessees have to pay higher rate of interest in the market, and as such, they may not be inclining to pay advance tax or the taxes by due dates. They know that they have to pay heavy interest on monies borrowed from market than they have to pay on non-payment of advance tax. Thus, they utilize the amount towards their business and do not make haste to pay the taxes. Moreover, if the rate of interest on refund is raised, then the government will also make efforts to complete the assessment as early as possible to avoid payment of interest on delayed assessments. The assessment should be completed very early. Now, the government is already making this fast. The processing is going fast. But still, more devices will be innovated. Further, the concessions and the conditions of more than 12% or more than 36% in first two installments for charging of interest on deferred payment should be removed. And likewise, the condition of grant of interest on refund over 10% of the assessed tax should also be done away with. These conditions create the complications in calculations, and removal of these will be beneficial both to the department and to the assessor. In increasing the rate of interest on refunds, there may not be a loss to the government, but on the contrary, the collection of advance tax will increase without making much efforts, and handsome amount will be in the treasuries for utilization, and more such interest is going to be taxed as income from other sources in the hands of the assessee, and that too at 30% in number of cases. Tax deducted at source will also increase as the assessees may not apply for non-deduction of tax because of higher rate of interest. Further, to compensate the rate of interest on non-payment or delayed payment of taxes on regular assessment, penalties, etc., or in respect of undisputed demands, may be raised to 18% instead of 12%, as there can be no cause for not paying the legitimate demand, and as such the assessees will choose to make the payments in time because of higher rate of interest. Moreover, the CBDT is empowered to relax the provisions in suitable cases under section 119(2) of the Act. If the assessee is in stringency or in financial difficulties, the board can relax the provisions. These are my suggestions only. Now we will turn towards the provisions of section 218 and 219 in this chapter, which are very simple to understand. Section 218 states as to when the assessee is deemed to be or treated to be in default. It is simple. When assessee makes a fault, he is in default. When the assessee has failed to meet the obligation, he is in default. Here, in this chapter, if the assessee does not pay the installment or installments of advance tax on the dates and in the percentage specified under section 211, which he is required to pay on his own estimates or in compliance with the order of the assessing officer, he will be deemed to be an assessee in default and in respect of such installment or installments, and will be liable for penalty as the assessing officer may direct. Section 219 clarifies that any sum paid by an assessee or recovered from him as advance tax in pursuance of this chapter will be treated as a payment of tax for period of previous year relevant to the assessment next following the financial year in which it was payable, and credit for this amount will be given to the assessee against the demand of tax raised in the regular assessment when it will be done in the assessment year. And if there is still a balance demand to be recovered, then the demand notice for that amount will be sent to the assessee, or if there is a refund, then such refund will be sent to the assessee as the case may be. Thus, the chapter of advance payment of tax has been studied in detail here, and I am sure that you must have understood the provisions of advance tax. We may summarize the provision as under section wise. Section 207 is for liability to pay advance tax. Section 208 conditions to pay advance tax. Section 209 computation of advance tax. Section 210 payment of advance tax on own estimate or on the order of the assessing officer. Section 211 specifies the installments of advance tax and the due dates. Section 218 is for assessee deemed in default. Section 219 credit for advance tax paid. Section 234B is for interest for non-payment or short payment of advance tax, and Section 234C is for interest for deferred payment of advance tax. If you like this video, then please press the thumbs up icon and subscribe the channel, which is free of cost, and press the bell icon next to it for getting the notification of my next videos. Thanks.